Should you fry your pulled pork for more flavor? In this video, I'm making traditional pulled pork and comparing it to carnitas style fried pulled pork, and we're gonna find out which one is better, so let's get smoking. Welcome to the Smoke Lab, the show where I do crazy barbecue experiments you would never do at home so you can learn from my trial and error. Pulled pork. It's kind of boring, and in order to amp up the flavor and allow it to better compete with my brisket and ribs, I'm always looking for new techniques. I was thinking about it recently, and I think the problem is that when you smoke a pork butt, it has a pretty low ratio of bark to all of the juicy pork on the inside, so when you mash it all up and pull it, it doesn't have much bark and crunchy bits in there, so you just get this uniform, juicy consistency with little bits of bark, but in my opinion, you need more texture and crunchiness in there. So I had this vision of taking a fully smoked and rested pork butt and then smashing it down on a griddle so that it forms a really nice crust on more surface area, and hopefully that'll give it some more bacony flavor, some more texture, and really amp up the flavor. Some quick Googling on whether someone did that before informed me that that is actually what carnitas are in their essence. If you remove things like any flavorings or sauces added, that's pretty much the technique to make carnitas. You fully smoke a pork butt and then you fry it. So what I really want to know is what's better, a traditionally smoked pork butt or carnitas? I'm starting with 2 pork butts. Just gonna take them out of the cryovac bag. Let's take a sharp knife here, cut through the cryovac bag. I'm just gonna do this one too. I just like to get a little finger hold here and then I just tear the rest of the bag open. Now I'm gonna use some Oklahoma Joe's Memphis style rub. This rub is really good. I like it a lot, especially on pork. It's really tasty. I'm just going to put it on right now. It's got enough moisture from the cryovac bag that I don't feel I need any binder. The one thing you wanna take off though is these little absorption pads. I haven't seen these in these pork butts that I bought before. They must have started adding these, but make sure you remove them because you don't wanna be eating this. All right, we'll just do a nice coat here. Get it on all sides. I go super heavy on these pork butts because they can take a lot of rub, a lot of salt. And now I'll be going fat side down in the Marshall. So what I'm gonna do is I'll do a finishing layer on the top, on the presentation side, so it looks good on camera. Okay, we'll put that guy to the side and we'll do this guy. Get the money muscle there. Ooh, we'll get the sides. There we go. And a little bit more on the top here. And as a finishing layer, I was just in Memphis and my buddy Colton gave me this. This is from a Memphis company. It is mainly paprika, it's got salt, it's got MSG, which is my favorite. And he gave me this while we were competing in Memphis in May. I like it because it makes your barbecue super red because of all the paprika, and it adds a little bit of umami flavor from all that MSG. So we're gonna redden up these butts by doing a nice layer on the top. And take a look at that, so red. So tasty looking. These butts are ready to go on the Marshall, but first I need to go outside and start it up. Heading out to the Marshall center box smoker, I'm breaking out some Oklahoma Joe's natural lump charcoal and filling up the fire basket. Then I'm adding some chunks of cherry wood. I like to bury some under the charcoal and also put some on top. And then I'm lighting the charcoal and wood with my Oklahoma Joe's charcoal lighter. This thing is really handy and it works really well for lighting fires, whether I'm using my Bronco drum smoker, my Longhorn offset, or the Marshall here. And after it's lit, I'm going to close the firebox door and leave the vents wide open to help it get up to temperature. While it preheats, I'm putting my pork butts on the bottom rack, and I don't show it here, but I'm also placing some aluminum pans underneath the pork butts to catch the drippings. I'm now letting the Marshall smoke away and preheat. Look at that nice smoke coming out of the stacks. That is absolutely beautiful. And after 20 minutes, the ambient temperature is roughly 250 to 275, so I'm closing down the intake vents and I'm letting it cruise up to around 290 to 300, where it will stay for the rest of the cook. Every hour or two, I'm also going to open the firebox door and add some more wood and charcoal just to keep things smoking along nicely. 6 hours later, the butts are around 170 degrees internal. They've climbed out of the stall and they have some nice color to them. So I'm wrapping them in foil with a bit of apple cider vinegar for a little bit of extra moisture, and I'm putting them back on the Marshall to smoke away at around 300 degrees for another 3 hours or so. 3 hours later, they're probing at 190 95 internal. They're just about done, but not quite. So I'm going to remove them and place them in my holding oven at 150 overnight for between 10 to 18 hours, depending on when I want to eat them the next day. And that'll make it super tender. But if you want to finish your pulled pork on the same day and you don't want to hold it overnight for 18 to 20 hours, then you can just take it an additional hour to around 205 degrees internal until it's really probe tender. Let it rest for 2 hours, pull it, and eat it. I just like to undercook my meat a little bit and then throw it in the holding oven because it really saves me a lot of active cooking time, and I feel it leads to juicier results. The next day, I'm lighting up some briquettes on the Marshall using the lower charcoal rack. That's what makes the Marshall so awesome. It's an indirect smoker plus a charcoal grill, so it's super versatile. Now I'm spreading out the lit coals 15 minutes later, replacing the grates and putting a large cast iron skillet over the coals to heat up. I got this one on Amazon. It was pretty inexpensive and I use it all the time for my barbecue and searing steaks and other types of meat. Now you could just use some pork lard, but I find it's easier just to take the drippings from the pork butts that you captured with those aluminum pans and pour them in a grease separator. Then after letting the pan preheat for 15 minutes up to around 500 or 600 degrees, if you have an infrared thermometer, you can check it. I pour the pork fat onto the skillet and I place the butt in the middle of the pan. Then I'm just pressing it down and letting it crisp up on the bottom, and I'm mixing it and flipping the pulled pork until a good portion of it gets really crispy golden brown. When you flip it over, it should be kind of bubbling and almost look like crispy hash browns in texture. All right, guys, we have the carnitas or the fried pulled pork on my left, your right, and I have the whole pork butt that I'm just gonna pull right now. I'm just gonna press right into it. Oh, it's super tender. The bone just comes right out. There you go. That's how you know you have some good pulled pork. That's how you know you did it right. Now I'm just gonna pull this pulled pork, and usually what I do is I just pull all this by hand, a little bit more than I'm doing right now, and then I'd sauce it up and I'd serve it. I just sauce it lightly just for like a little base coating of sweetness, and then I let people add their own barbecue sauce to whatever sandwich that they're making, or if they're just having straight pulled pork, maybe drizzle a little bit of their preferred sauce on top of there. I don't like to go too heavy at the outset because someone might not like the sauce, or they want to do something different, like put a honey mustard sauce or a vinegar-based sauce on it. And if I go too heavy on a super sugary ketchup-based sauce, then someone might not like it. So there we go. That looks super juicy. I'm gonna take a bite here. That's really good. It's super juicy, it's fresh, it tastes porky. This is amazing. I don't know how you could do better than this, but let's try the carnitas or the fried pulled pork and we'll see if it's any better. So I'm gonna get a piece that's really been nice and fried up. That is super good. This is almost like pulled bacon. Like if you got a giant pork belly and then you fried it up and pulled it, that's what I think it would taste like. And this tastes very similar. And this tastes amazing. It's so crunchy. So it has more flavor, it's more bacony, it tastes more like grilled meat, it's crunchy, it has more texture. I like it better than the regular pulled pork, but the regular pulled pork is definitely juicier. I think you do lose some of the moisture by frying it. So if you wanna preserve moisture, go for maximum juiciness, I would go for the traditional style pulled pork. If you wanna add some texture, some bacony flavor, then I would definitely try frying it because this is absolutely amazing. It is so good. Okay, now let's try adding some sauce. I'm just gonna push this all the way to the side of the board here, and I'll make a little pile there, and then I'll get a little competing pile here, so you guys can see it here. And then I'm gonna break out the Meat Mitch Womp competition sauce. I buy this stuff by the gallon. It is so good. You can get it online or you can go to Meat Mitch in Kansas City. Amazing barbecue there, guys. I went there a couple weeks ago when I was on my road trip down to compete in Memphis in May. I stopped in Kansas City and I tried Meat Mitch's barbecue. Just so good. Everything was perfect there. It should definitely be on your bucket list to try out. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of sauce on this pile, a little bit on the fried pile, and then we'll mix this guy up. Okay, let's give the traditional pulled pork a taste. Oh man, that's so good. That's competition winning right there. This is really good. Oh yeah. So amazing. That sauce plus this perfectly cooked, super tender, super juicy pulled pork, amazing. Let's try the carnitas now. This is better. Adding a little bit of extra moisture back into the carnitas, it makes it 1,000 times better, and it still retains its crunchiness, so I'm liking the carnitas even more right now. I'm gonna put some more sauce on there just to see what happens. Imagine putting this on a nice sandwich with some pickles, some red onion, some pickled red onion, a little bit of lettuce. This would be an amazing pulled pork sandwich. So amazing. My overall pick is the fried pulled pork, the carnitas style pulled pork. It's really good. It takes away a bit of the juiciness and tenderness, but when you add some sauce or maybe some pan drippings back in, it kind of adds that juiciness back in, and you still get the textural difference and the crunchiness, which adds a ton of flavor, that bacony flavor, crunchiness. I think it's just amazing. I like it better than the traditional pulled pork. Even though the traditional pulled pork is more juicy, this is just amazing. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any other ideas for experiments you want to see on this show, then let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the Oklahoma Joe's YouTube channel, and until next time, happy smoking. I'm gonna eat some more of this fried pulled pork. This is amazing.